Let's now welcome Dr. Suhayfa Bhamjee, Senior Lecturer in Criminal Law at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. A very good afternoon to you, Dr. Bhamjee. So let's ask that very same question, just from a timing perspective and given where the process currently stands, what are the likely scenarios should the process to find the next NDPP not be completed by the time Advocate Batoyi vacates her seat at the end of this month?
Well, look, I think if you think of very many, thanks again and good afternoon. If we think about very many corporations and other positions that are left vacant, and there's a gap or a time gap in filling those positions, I don't think it would be unusual or irregular to have an acting position implemented pending the finalization of the entire process. But yeah, I don't know that, it seems to be on track as far as we are all aware. Unless there's something more catastrophic or something else that affects the reason. For example, even if the president finds that the top three candidates that have been nominated aren't suitable, we must remember that he also still, in terms of the various pieces of legislation, has the prerogative to make the ultimate call. So an appointment could very well be made outside of the top three that have been put forward by the panel. It could come from within, but and in either case, if there's more time needed, it's not impossible for there to be an acting post in the interim.
Let's look at then this legal challenge. The application by B. Kulu and partners, it seeks an urgent interdict. This has been called premature by some. From a legal standpoint, though, does this application meet that threshold for urgency, and what are we likely to see there?
No, I don't think that it meets the urgency threshold. And I think if we think about the fact that, as the reporter also said, that the DA has also brought a challenge to say that the thing lacks urgency. I don't think it is urgent in this respect. There is something to be said about the questions raised or Cronje being presented with that 99-page document. But when we look at the interview again, to my mind, I felt that she was able to address the background of that case and where it came from. There's much litigation that has gone around this Kulu matter with the fisheries and the Cape lobsters. So there's a lot of background there. I don't know that I'm not satisfied in my mind that the application meets the urgency requirement.
And just staying on that particular point, is there a risk that, frequent court interventions like this one in appointments could blur the separation of powers between the executive and the judiciary?
Well, look, that word that's been going around for a couple of years now, these Stalingrad tactics, when it comes to using the courts to thwart certain processes or to stall or to halt, it's being done. It is about all the audi alteram partem. I don't know that it means that there's a mix or a blurring of lines between the executive and the judiciary simply because you do use the courts to oversee or oversee and measure against the Constitution decisions made by the executive, made by Parliament. I think that's necessary. The court oversight role is very, very important. But I don't think that it would be used necessarily to halt something entirely. I think it's part of our democracy and our democratic processes that we are allowed to challenge decisions, etc. But using the courts in this way won't necessarily be a blurring of lines between the executive and the judiciary. It all depends on the courts acting properly, and also from legal professionals on the other side, advising their clients when it is appropriate to approach the court and when it's not.
And when we look at the interview process itself, from just a legal ethics standpoint, what standard should apply when these objections are raised against candidates for, constitutionally significant offices?
Well, look, I think, you'll remember also that this is only the second time that we as the public have been given the opportunity to view an interview process when it comes through the appointment of an NDPP. And given the opportunity, it's not a requirement, it's not legislated for, it's just something that we are benefiting from in an effort for the state to move towards transparency. So as far as openness that way, I think that's been present. So even if the questions were dealt with in an entirely different way, in a private way, we would hope that the questions were brought out effectively. And I think they were. I do feel that they were. And, you know, it was done in a way where the objections as well as the positives were raised with the candidates. And I think that was for all of the candidates that were interviewed. Obviously, some had a rougher road with the number of negative comments and objections that came forward. But I think this was a good way to do it. Moving forward, I'm not sure how we could get a better way to do it. I think they did give the candidates an opportunity to preview some of the questions that were going to be raised and, well, the objections through the bundle. But I think maybe just a little bit tighter rein over ensuring that the documents do get to various candidates.
Dr. Bhamjee, very quickly as we wrap up, I mean, just I know you touched a little bit on this, but given the MPA's central role in tackling corruption, organized crime, just how damaging is the delay, though, prolonged uncertainty, especially at that level?
Yeah, I think that's quite going to be a problem. But I think, you know, some things must not be rushed and some things cannot be rushed. Like we've said, very many commentators have said, we need to get this right. And you'd rather have a longer process in getting it right, or using an acting appointment until you get the right appointee, because there's a lot of rock to clean up. And you do want to make sure that you get the right person with the right skills, with the right vision, with the right attitude to clear out the rot and move forward. So if the decision-making process takes maybe a little longer, I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. But we do want an appointment made as soon as possible. So I'm trying to have my cake and eat it too here. I think we all want that. But I think making the right decision is better than making a quick decision.
Absolutely. Dr. Bhamjee, thank you so much for your time.